Hello and welcome to Taiwan Today. I'm Natalie So. In the studio I have Miss Asian America, Stephanie Lin, who is in Taiwan promoting startups. Stephanie, I know startups is also a passion of yours.
Yeah.
And tell us, I know you've been invited here to speak. Tell us about what you'll be speaking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Startups, huge passion of mine. And I've been invited to speak by the Taiwan Startup Stadium, which is an incubator accelerator group in Taipei, here in Taipei. And I'll be speaking on something that I suppose I'm a bit of a thought expert on, which is public relations and marketing. So I'll be doing a talk and also a workshop with folks on the 29th of December. And I'll be talking about PR best practices and the do's and don'ts of an email pitch, for example. What to think about and consider when you're approaching a reporter to get them to cover your company or your product in the news.
So what is the key insights that you are trying to share?
So it's more of creating visibility around sort of the key mistakes a lot of startup founders make when they're trying to attract press attention, news reporters' attention around their company and their product, and also some key tips and tricks on what founders can do to really draw that attention towards, really catch a reporter's attention towards their company as well.
So what are the tricks?
One of the common mistakes that, let's start with one of the common mistakes, right? So one of the common mistakes that I personally have seen a lot of startup founders do is, they'll send out a generic form email to reporters. It'll be long, it'll be really lengthy, it's not personalized, and, it's kind of like,
like a press release.
It's like
a
press
boring
release.
press release.
And I'm sure you've received your fair share of things that are very generic, and you can totally tell it's a copy-paste about so-and-so's company, right? And you don't feel like it's a personalized approach, and so you're very unlikely to cover that person's story because it doesn't seem like they've done their research on you or the types of stories that you like to cover, right? So I'll be creating some more visibility around the fact that this is an issue that a lot of founders face, and I'll be actually reviewing some email pitches that they send to me and giving them some pointers on how they could be rephrasing and rewording their pitches. Yeah.
That's great. So why do you have this passion for startups?
I would say, again, it's a bit of like a personal thing for me. My brother actually was very involved within startups before I was, my younger brother, and his company, Level 6, was just acquired, so really happy and ecstatic for him.
Great.
Yeah, and for me,
it's also a high-tech company?
It's also a high-tech gaming company. And for me, it's also, I love giving back. And when I was working at Chartboost, which was a startup at the time, Sequoia-backed, they gave me the opportunity to work with a lot of indie game developers, so small gaming shops, which were composed of maybe no more than 5 people who are very passionate about building the next great game. And so I really just personally love being able to take the experience that I have to help those small shops become successful businesses. It's just something that's inherent to me, and so that's why I believe that I enjoy working with startups and why I'm passionate about startups.
So what do you think are some of the keys to having a successful startup?
Oh, that's a really great question. That reminds me of a book that I read recently. There's The Hard Thing About Hard Things. I believe it's by Ben Horowitz. And the thing is that there is no recipe, there is no perfect design to becoming a success, right? Every founder has their own unique story of how they grew their company to XYZ, and ultimately, for some founders, how they were able to achieve incredible success, right? So I couldn't say, and I don't think that anyone can really say that there is like the 3 or 4 things that every startup needs to follow to be success, or what exactly it is that makes startups successful. I can say, though, that of the startup founders that I know that have achieved that success, they are incredibly diligent, hardworking, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to make their business survive. Because
yeah,
founders,
I've seen that. My husband's like that.
Oh, okay, yeah, exactly. Founders are incredible. The most successful founders I've seen are very resilient people, and it's something that I have so much respect for.
It's not easy, right?
It's not easy, no. Yeah, everything looks happy and glamorous. Oh my God, they just raised like, $30 million Series B, or so-and-so just got acquired by Facebook, and it all seems so glamorous, right? But behind the scenes, you know, there's lawsuits, there's, you know, oh my God, I'm almost about to run out of funding and I have to support a huge team of employees. You know, how am I going to make ends meet with, because this deal fell through, for example. You know, there's so many challenges that entrepreneurs overcome. And so for those that are able to become the success stories, right, I just have so much respect for people who are that resilient.
What have you noticed about the entrepreneur culture here? You know, in Taiwan, 98% of companies are small and medium-sized. So it's, you know, a lot of people want to start their own company or start their own company.
Yeah, I think that that's fantastic that people out here are willing to start their own company, because I would say based on my personal experience just chatting with different founders, there appears to be this stigma against even creating a startup in the first place because there is that fear of failure. Based on my conversations with other people, it's kind of like most young people are discouraged by their parents to join a startup or create a startup.
Probably because they're asking parents for money, right?
Maybe that's what it is, or it's more like their parents want them to have a stable career and have that security as they get older. So they're like, oh, no, I think you should join Microsoft instead. You shouldn't start your own company, right? And that's kind of discouraging for I'm sure that aspiring startup founder, because like their dream is to start their own business, and yet they can't because their parents are like there's this fear of failure around creating that startup, right? So that's kind of like the key takeaway that I've sort of witnessed, sort of interacting with different founders. And
in Taiwan or in America?
I would say, yeah, in Taiwan as well. You know, so I would hope that, you know, whether it's in Asia or just anywhere outside of the United States where failure is more of an accepted thing, I would hope that for anyone out there who's watching and who's considering doing that startup, just to go and experiment, to try. You know, because the worst thing that does happen is, you know, it doesn't work out, but you learn so much about yourself in the process. You grow a lot as a person, I feel. And if it doesn't work out, try again, and find the mentors that you feel are really going to help put you in the right direction and set you up for success. But you're never going to know unless you try, really. So, yeah.
And you work with startups in the high-tech industry as well. Right?
Yeah, I worked with startups.
So what is it like there? I mean,
gaming.
It's a very innovative place, you know, in the world. Everyone
believes they have the next great idea. But you know, like, I think for me, it's mostly just, I would say it's a very inspiring environment to be in. You know, these founders they really have to believe that it's going to work out. Because otherwise, it's kind of like, they really just have to believe it's going to work out. Otherwise, it's kind of like, well, you know, how else are we going to be able to secure funding? They really have to believe in themselves and in their business model, because they have employees that are counting on them. They have other investors that are counting on them. And so they just go out there and they hustle. And, you know, for the ones that are willing to pivot when the going gets tough, they're the ones that I've seen really rise to the top and succeed. So
I recently interviewed someone who told me that about 40% of high-tech company founders are either founded or co-founded by Asians. So actually, there's a lot of Asian Americans.
That's fantastic.
Or Asians
that's a really great statistic.
Who are doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And the other interesting thing is that there happens to be a lot of really talented Taiwanese American entrepreneurs who are also very successful founders or co-founders. My brother aside, my brother's companies that he just got acquired by R2. There's a Kevin Lin with Twitch, huge video game streaming platform, was acquired by Amazon. I believe the founder of DoorDash is also Taiwanese as well. And Tony Hsieh, obviously from Zappos, also Taiwanese American. So that's a fantastic statistic that you're quoting, and also I just wanted to give a shout out to the Taiwanese Americans within that percentage as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's in Asian blood to be somewhat business-minded.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, well, what about you? What do you want to do with your own startup?
So basically, after having worked with a number of different startups, whether it was on the gaming side at Chartboost or at 500 Startups, where I was director of marketing, now I've become very inspired to really surface those stories where founders are very open about the challenges that they've dealt with growing their business. And so I'm planning to launch a podcast called Sandbox: Stories Behind the Startups, and you can find more information about it on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/hello Stephanie Lin. And so I'm going to be interviewing different founders out here in Taiwan while I'm here. And I've also conducted a few interviews with some incredible early stage employees at very successful startups in the United States. So all of that will be coming together and it'll be live pretty soon in the coming weeks. So
that's exciting. Yeah. So you have a lot of missions here, huh?
Yeah,
a lot of things you're doing
it's
here.
About supporting the Taiwanese startup ecosystem, giving back, and also generating incredible content for this podcast that hopefully will inspire startup founders and aspiring startup founders around the world.
Well, I know you're very active in the Taiwanese American community. Do you see many people in that community wanting to, like you, get involved with startups?
Especially in the Silicon Valley, I would say that there are a growing number of Taiwanese Americans that are very interested in starting their own business and growing a startup or joining joining a company at its early stages. Yes.
So, what do you think is appealing to you about that? I mean, in some ways, it's very, I help run a store, a cafe. It's very consuming, and it's actually causes a lot of anxiety.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
It's very rewarding, but there's plus and minuses to having that kind of a.
You said it yourself. It's very rewarding, right? For a lot of people who engage in startups, I don't think it's about the money at all. It's about the passion and fulfilling what they feel is their life's purpose. It sounds really cheesy, but I really feel like the people who really make it happen, who are able to build that successful business, who are part of that 10% of successful startups, right? They're 10%. The ones, the 10%, they're the ones that are really doing it because it's their passion. It's their life's passion. Yeah. And they really want to make an impact and a difference in the world.
Well, Stephanie, what about women entrepreneurs? Do you notice that as a trend as well?
Honestly, I wish there were more female entrepreneurs in the space. And I think a key reason why we're seeing fewer female entrepreneurs is because of the lack of funding that's available to them. So an interesting statistic I want to throw your way is only 9% of venture capitalists are women. Okay, so
only 9. That's
so an article that I read recently basically stated that when a female entrepreneur pitches their product, say it's about like birth control or something related to women that is outside of shopping or something that's stereotypically female, to a panel of VCs, they don't get it because they're like, okay, well, I don't understand why there is this need for this product, because they don't
they're
empathize.
male.
Yeah,
right.
They don't understand. They don't empathize with what this woman's trying to pitch them. And so that woman ends up not getting funding for a product that could actually help out a lot of women out there. And so that's why it's like that's why it's like we need more female VCs within the space so we can create more funding opportunities for those female entrepreneurs as well. And so therefore we're going to see more female entrepreneurs creating great products that are going to impact women. So it's not only just about having more women in STEM, but also about seeing women in the VC position, in entrepreneurial role.
So key positions, right?
Yes.
Influential roles. We need more women up there.
Yes, we do. Yes, that would be great. Because it's not even, at the end of the day, it's not even a gender thing. It's more about furthering society as a whole, right? Because society is not made up of just men. It's made up of, women, people of color, gays, lesbians, so all sorts of different types of people. So we need the people who are creating the products to be empathizing with the people who are consuming the products, right? And so those people who are consumers are a blend of a wide variety of different people. So.
Well, I think it's great what you're doing, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you very much.
Taking your position as Miss Asian America and using it to help, women in STEM and also helping startups. So it's great to have you here in Taiwan, and thank you for joining us.
Oh my gosh, thank you for the kind words, and thank you so much for having me. I'm very appreciative.
It's great to have you here. And I've been speaking with Miss Asian America Stephanie Lin, who's in Taiwan promoting startups. Thanks for joining me on Taiwan Today. I'm Natalie So.